I declare that the 515th Convocation of McMaster University for the conferring of degrees is now in session.
Please be seated. Good afternoon. I am David Wilkinson, the Provost and Vice President Academic at McMaster University, and this afternoon I have the great pleasure of acting as your Master of Ceremonies and of welcoming you all to Convocation ceremonies. Before we start the formal program, may I first ask that everyone in the hall switch off any electronic device that may ring or beep during the ceremony. I would now like to call upon our Chancellor, Dr. Linton Wilson, to make his welcoming remarks.
A very good afternoon to you all. President, Vice Chancellor, Provost, Dean Cruikshank, Honorary Graduate, members of the Platform Party, graduands, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to this 515th Convocation of McMaster University. To our graduands, congratulations on your successes, on reaching an important milestone, an exciting milestone in your lives. Many of you will begin careers, embarking on new journeys. Some of you will be continuing your education, training, or preparation for more advanced or specialized activities. The very best of luck to each and every one of you. To the parents, grandparents, family members, spouses, and friends here today, I invite you to take a bow as well. You can be proud of the roles you have played in the accomplishments being recognized in this convocation. To our faculty and staff, today marks tangible recognition of your efforts, particularly the successes of your students evident in this ceremony. Thank you and congratulations. This is a day of celebration. I wish you all an enjoyable afternoon. Thank you.
I would now like to introduce Dr. Patrick Dean, President and Vice Chancellor, who will be presenting our honorary degree recipient.
Mr. Chancellor, by the authority of the Senate of McMaster University, I have the honor to present Michael Schade. Michael Schade is one of Canada's most accomplished musical performers, a vocalist who has earned a rightful place among the world's leading Mozart tenors. As an aspiring medical student at the University of Western Ontario, Mr. Schade sang with the Grand Philharmonic Choir and switched his major to music after winning a performance prize. He later enrolled in the master's program at the Curtis Institute of Music in Philadelphia and was still a student there when he won the New York Oratorio Competition, which led to the opportunity to perform in Handel's Messiah at Carnegie Hall. He was admitted into the Marola program run by the San Francisco Opera, and he received the Government of Canada's Virginia P. Moore Prize. This gave Mr. Schade the ability to travel and put him in a position to launch his professional career. In Vienna in 1991, he was asked to fill in at the last minute in a production of Il Barbiere di Siviglia at the State Opera. That performance established his professional bona fides and served as the launching pad for a career that has now spanned decades and continents. Mr. Schade made the first of his more than 30 appearances with the Toronto Symphony Orchestra at the age of 23 in Messiah, and he is seen regularly in many of the great opera houses of the world, including the Vienna Staatsoper, the Dresden Staatsoper, the Metropolitan Opera, La Scala, the Paris Opera, the Lyric Opera of Chicago, and the Los Angeles Opera. In addition to his thriving opera career, Mr. Schade performs extensively in recital and concert, appearing with major orchestras, including the Philadelphia Orchestra and the Philharmonics of Los Angeles, Vienna, Berlin, and New York. While he has appeared in prestigious venues, such as the Musikverein in Vienna and Wigmore Hall in London, one of Mr. Schade's most cherished venues is Toronto's Air Canada Centre, where he has taken to the ice in front of his beloved Maple Leafs to sing the pre-game national anthems. Some of you here at Hamilton Place today may have seen Mr. Schade's performance there, or perhaps in his consecutive starring roles during this past season's Canadian Opera Company productions of Die Fledermaus and La Clemenza di Tito. Mr. Schade's work has found a particularly appreciative audience in Austria, where he has sung many of his most acclaimed roles, including Don Ottavio in Don Giovanni, Count Almaviva in Il Barbiere di Sevilla, Nemorino in L'Isir d'Amore, and David in Die Meistersinger von Nuremberg. Mr. Schade appears regularly with Niklas Harnoncourt's Concentus Musicus and the Vienna Philharmonic, as well as at the Schubertiad in Schwarzenberg, while also appearing with nearly annual regularity at the Salzburg Festival for 2 decades. Such is his relationship with Austria, and particularly Vienna, where he maintains a home, that Mr. Schade has even written a short guide to dining in that city. With an impressive track record of recording with prominent conductors, including Claudio Abbado, John Eliot Gardner, Pierre Boulez, Helmut Rilling, Sir Colin Davis, Sir Charles Mackerras, Wolfgang Sawallisch, and Myung-Whun Chung, Mr. Schade has become one of the featured singers on Hyperion's Schubert recording project. His recording of Bach's St. Matthew Passion with Niklas Harnoncourt won the 2002 Grammy for Best Choral Performance, and Soirée Française with baritone Russell Braun received both a Juno Award and the Gabriel Fauré Award. In 2007, Mr. Schade was the first ever Canadian to be named a Kammersanger by the Austrian government. Along with a personal interest in supporting leukemia research, Mr. Schade is an active participant in fundraising activities for the Canadian arts community, and also played a key role in raising 100,000 euros for the Health Access Initiative spearheaded by former US President Bill Clinton. Mr. Chancellor, Michael Schade has built a career in vocal performance that began here in Southern Ontario and now extends to the world's great opera houses, concert halls, and festivals. So, in recognition of his professional accomplishments and volunteer contributions to his communities, I ask that you confer upon him the degree Doctor of Laws, honoris causa.
Michael Schade, by the authority of McMaster University Senate, I have the great pleasure to confer upon you the degree Doctor of Laws, honoris causa, in McMaster University, with all the rights and privileges pertaining to that degree. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Come and sign the register. It is now my great pleasure to invite Dr. Schade to deliver the Convocation address. Dr. Schade.
My goodness. President Dean, Chancellor Wilson, Provost, Dean of the University of McMaster, proud graduating students of the year 2013, parents, friends. Firstly, let me be one of the very first to congratulate you on receiving your various degrees, and allow me to talk to you about the future, about your role in the global workforce. Let me appeal to your senses. Let me speak to you about that which should be your biggest guide as you enter the working world to attain a bright future. The guiding star of your future should be a very simple mantra: to listen to your inner muse. Surround yourselves with love, with people that support you, and with people who share your dreams. Be accountable for those dreams. And be honest regarding the cost they will be to others as you achieve them. Give thanks often to those who allow you to listen to that muse. Thank you to my family who's here today. Today, I am one with you as I receive this honorary doctorate in the arts and law. Our family has a very personal connection to McMaster University. This university and its university hospital, with cutting-edge technology and brilliant minds, along with a good combination of intuition and chutzpah, saved my mother's life. Not once, but twice. My mother was 67 years old when she was diagnosed on New Year's Eve, 1999, with leukemia and admitted to McMaster Hospital. She underwent treatments with the excruciating rounds of chemotherapy and all of the side effects associated with the therapy. Mom had to undergo countless medical exams, and weighed were the very many options of what would come next, all under the guidance and care of Dr. Leber, Dr. Wassi, Dr. Kelton, and Dr. Walker of McMaster University Hospital. She initially beat leukemia for the very first time in late 2000. Thanks to her initial remission, Mom was able to witness the wedding of my youngest sister that summer, and we had stood shoulder to shoulder as a family, and we'd issued the statement that we are going to beat this thing, and then we were able to say that we did. However, just when the days of summer were coming to an end that year, the monster of ill health raised its head again. It turned out that Mom was suffering from a rare form of leukemia, a so-called myelodysplastic syndrome. And after the initial diagnosis of a cure, she was told that she now had somewhere between 6 weeks and 6 months to live. Mom made it past 6 weeks. Mom looked pretty great at Christmas. 3 months later, Mom was still around and was still with us after a full 6 months. She was too old to receive a bone marrow transplant, and yet clearly too feisty to be given up upon. This, friends, is where a story begins that shows how great minds and great people can do miracles when they follow their inner voices or when they listen to their muse. The definition of the word muse tells us that when we talk about the muse, we're referring to any of the 9 sister Greek goddesses in Greek mythology, presiding over song and poetry, the arts and sciences. Sounds a bit like this place, don't you think? To quote the encyclopedias, the muse is a part of a Greco-Roman religion and mythology and refers to any group of sister goddesses of obscure but ancient origin. The poet Hesiod mentions an undifferentiated group of goddesses gathering for games of songs and dance at moseias. The word museum is exactly where that word comes from. The names of Clio, Thalia, Melpomene, Terpsichore, Erato, Polyhymnia, Urania, Calliope are famous and refer to each of the muses. Their father was Zeus, and the mother was Mnemosyne, also known as Memory. To me, and to us, and to our family, this undifferentiated group sounds a bit like our gods and goddesses in white medical frocks that looked after my mum. A multi-religious, open-minded, fascinating, respectful, highly trained, scholarly group of medical doctors, nurses, social workers, lawyers, who helped me fundraise for the endeavors of securing new equipment and who were interested in preserving not only the life of man, but to learn from the life of man. To make a long personal story short, this fantastic group of individuals got together after listening to their inner voices and offered a solution that had never been offered before. Mom was to be the oldest recipient of a cutting-edge stem cell transplant. This was unheard of back then. And thanks to her brother's equal genetic code, this procedure allowed the doctors to reboot her immune system, much like the way a hard drive can be exchanged in a computer. And she was cured for a second time. Mom was the oldest recipient of such a stem cell transplant in Ontario, maybe in Canada, and she just celebrated her 80th birthday a few dear days ago. And this story shows the pedigree of your alma mater. And it is a testament to the kind of learning and care for humanity that takes place on this campus. It was clear from the outset that all involved in the journey to save Mom were fighting for dignity and for a united humanity. And it is the best that McMaster and Canada have to offer. For Canada's multicultural mosaic provides the room needed to let each religion, each mind, each undifferentiated group of individuals grow to its very best potential. I would like to think that as I look out upon all of you, bright and eager graduating students here today, that this kaleidoscope of humanity, of the arts and sciences, and the needed jurisprudence that changed my family's life will live on strongly because you will hear your inner muse. What have you learned about life? What do you wish to say in your life? What do you wish your life to stand for? I dare say that these are relatively fundamental questions that we all ask ourselves every day. Many of you will not have had time to think about much of that. Your lives, generally speaking, up to now were filled with study, finding supporting employment to finance your education, and now will be spent in trying to find employment and perhaps to pay back student loans. And all the trappings of a well-lived youth. Life may seem hard, unfair, and the local and global working place is like a cruel, horrible, horrendous jungle. Fact is, dear graduates, eventually the turbulences of life will lead to some sense of normalcy. Perhaps the turbulences of life will lead you to a change in direction many times. I urge you to think about what your footprint is and what it means to be on this earth. I want each of you to think about being a beacon to the world, to your country, to your university, and to let your muse guide you. Les voyages forment la jeunesse, Napoleon said, which means that youth is educated through traveling. In other words, by being global. You need not go further than your local library to get inspiration, and quite frankly, in the age of Facebook, Twitter, and Google, you have no excuse not to think of your future and to express your own cultural footprint by being any less than being globally motivated. I have and am allowed to live a global life. I have made my life and my living performing the great operas of Mozart and Mendelssohn's, the oratorios and songs of Bach and Beethoven, operas, oratorios of Wagner and Verdi, of Schubert and Schumann, of Monteverdi, Gounod, Massenet and Strauss, with my very own voice. My job as an opera singer is to sing the music that truly glorifies man, all while adding my own personal interpretation to what the great composers have already put into print. My lucky job is to add my voice to music, to let my muse guide me to interpret what, for instance, Mozart wrote, and to do that in my very own way. There's no such thing as a right answer. I have seen music move mountains. I have seen what culture can do. I have seen when big business meets the arts and when the symbiosis of true artistic vision and the management of business can redefine the word success. Likewise, be you the much-learning Polythemia, the proclaiming Clio, the well-pleasing Euterpe, the blooming Thalia, the luxuriant Melpomene, the songstress Erato, the lovely Polymnia, the one of many hymns, or the heavenly Urania, or the beautiful voice of Calliope, or the one delighting in dance, such as Terpsichore, or any of the other muses that you may be, I urge you to listen to that inner voice. We cannot afford to sit back and become working zombies. Zombies, machines trapped in a life's work that distinguishes the sound of our inner muse. Why? Quite frankly, why should we? A good friend of mine is a Benedictine monk at the Abbey Melk in Austria, and the mantra of the Benedictine order is ora et labora, translated to work and pray in Latin. He, in turn, always adds the words et legge, which means to read. Reading and studying is no more than letting your mind explore the world, your world. It is to study your life and to meditate and to wonder. Nicholas Harnoncourt, one of the world's leading conductors, recently said to me when I questioned the unique way in which he was asking me to interpret the role of Florestan in the opera Fidelio, and thought it, quite frankly, impossible. He said, Michael, remember that the world's greatest impossibilities are, in fact, the world's greatest possibilities. Go forth, graduating students of the class of the University of McMaster 2013. Ora labora et legge. Listen, please listen to your muse. For through listening to her, everything is possible. For she will guide you through many wonders. Congratulations to you all for the honors you have bestowed upon me and my family today, as I live listening to my muse.
Thank you very much, Dr. Schade. Listening to your muse is a phrase I will certainly remember, as I hope many of you here today will as well. You have obviously listened to your muse, and you've led a life that has reflected that with great success. We're honored to have you with us today. Thank you very much.
Dr. Patrick Dean will now come forward to present the graduands to our Chancellor for admission to their degrees.
Will the graduands please stand? Mr. Chancellor, on behalf of McMaster University Senate, I present to you these candidates in order that you may confer the appropriate degrees upon them, and I bear witness that they are worthy and suitable.
Graduands, by my authority and that of the McMaster University Senate, I have the great pleasure to admit you to your individual degrees in McMaster University, with all of the rights and privileges pertaining to those degrees. My sincere congratulations to you all.
Mr. Chancellor, on behalf of McMaster University Senate, may I also request that you confer the appropriate degrees in absentia upon all those candidates who have successfully completed the required course of study, but who are not present.
I declare all these degrees conferred in absentia.
Graduates, I now ask each of you to join me on stage so that the Chancellor and I may welcome you to the McMaster community of scholars.
Ladies and gentlemen, it will be appreciated if during the presentation of the graduates you would hold your applause to the end of each degree category. Thank you. Mr. Chancellor, may I present to you the following graduates of the degree Doctor of Philosophy. Laura M. Weeb. Danielle Robinson. Heather Nicole Cooper. Paula Mastrilli. Mr. Chancellor, may I present to you the following graduates of the degree Master of Arts. Amanda Nicolina Spina. Susanna Natalia Hoche. George Luis Fabra Zamora. Mr. Chancellor, may I present to you the following graduates of the degree Master of Communications Management. Rosa Damonte. Suzanne Mary Amy. Jacqueline Marie Hornwick. Anne Marie Mills. Wendy McLean. Jennifer Tomlinson. Francis Joseph Vassallo. Amber Amelia Wallens. Mr. Chancellor, may I present to you the following graduates of the degree Master of Science. Angela Virginia Harrison.
Mr. Chancellor, may I present to you the following graduates of the degree Bachelor of Arts Honors. Timoteo Akinsipi. Bara al-Shawarji. Christopher Allen. Michaela Victoria Lee Allen. Dana Antonello. Christina C.G. April. Pamela Catherine Argue. Jennifer Azokar. Rihanna Ina Babulal. Felix Bachabek. Ariel Rose Bader Sheme. Maria Anna Bach. Riam Balusha. Anne Marie Barahona. Stanley Barber. Lindsay Eva Marie Barton. Laura Elise Basolini. Justin Matthew Bowden. Samantha Bendo. Emily Jane Benedict. Lisa Ida Marie Bafano. Kieran Blair. Nikola Vladimirov Blajev. Patrick Emmanuel Blasco Dowds. Alexandra Blaschuk. Tanya Blockis. Alexandra Mary Bolsterley. Christina Emily Bonaventura. Jessica Angela Bonin. Tiana Boskovich. Brianna Christine Bolton. Rachel Bowers. Danielle Amberly Brown. Inez Annette Nathania Bruinsma. Danielle Violet Burke. Anthony Charles Butler. Katrina Lourdes Camilleri. Elisa Campagnola. Amy M. Campbell. Roy Gregory Campbell. Laura Capobianco. Stefano Castelrin. Joel Michaels Castelli. Isabella Charlampus. Akta Kar Trohan. Sebastian Chong. Nina Singh Chopra. Ashley Diana Chrysler. Vincent Thomas Ciancholo. Bianca Gabriela Ciabotaru. Amy Louise Clare. Emily Colbert. Jonathan Anthony Collins. Michael Philip Cordero. Ivan Chosic. Chelsea Cowan. Ryan Andrew Cowison. James David Craig. Jonathan Michael McPherson Cramp. Michael Douglas Crosby. Samantha Lee Cunningham. Erica Durbano. Krista Annette Damvandekite. Amanda Leanne DeMello. Madison DeWilt. Jennifer Diana. Michael James Doherty. Laura Ann Donaldson. Bradley Stephen Dunn. Sarah Alish. Paige Elliott. Julia Elisa Esposto. Jessica Fager. Dina Fanara. Katerina Ferrara. Chloe Alexandra Fife. Sarah Catherine Lawson. Oh, Fletcher. Bradley Adam Facisato. Robert Scott Foster. Stephanie Mary Fraser. Alexander Michael Fragala. Kelly Jacqueline Furnish. Vanessa Furtado. Scott Philip Gates. Olivia Antoinette Genovese. Farhang Gujar. Fabio Giorno. Matthew Ryan Goodman. Andrea Dawn Goodwin. Fiona Therese Grant. Philip David Greer. Aaron Grierson. Christine Gurgis. Alisa Michelle Haggerty. Samantha Halloran Cooper. Fiona Huck. Taylor Harrison. Maureen Lorraine Heyman. Mackenzie Lucas Hurd. Oliver William Hurleyhigh. Amanda Sijwaj Ho. Christine Marie Holmes. Kimberly Valerie Holt-Berend. Jeffrey Heimers. Megan Elizabeth Ingram. Samantha Irwin. Natalie Jahara. Olivia Ann Jackson. Dominika Jakubiak. Sarah Ashley Janes. James Scott Johns. Chanel Patricia Yvonne Jordan. Igor Josipovich. Amit Singh Kang. Kimberly Amanda Kavanaugh. Maya Kelly. Isabel Nez. Emily Jane Kochev. Monica Kolomansky. Catherine Marianne Corin. Christiane Elizabeth Jacqueline LaBelle. Shona Fitzgerald Lang. Emily Ann Lamond. James Gerald Patrick Lanigan. Shauna Lanigan. Courtney Lamond. Amanda LaVecchia. Catherine Ann Leaf. Valerie Rochelle Least. Alan Kim Hong Lee. John Lee. Michael Alexander Late. Cassandra Arlene Lenters. Jillian LaRue. Kaylee Ann LaRue. Michael David Loy. Kirsten Marie Long. Andrew Joseph Lucibello. Edward Wong. Christina Elise McLean. Daniel McLennan. Hannah Majorano. Joanna Majurska. Alana Christina Malachowski. Angela Rose Marino. John Alexander Moscato Caboni. Laura McClelland. Michelle Marie McDonald. Anita Diane McFarlane. Alicia Ray McPhee. Caitlin Marie McIntyre. Samantha Kimberly McIntyre. Graham Malcolm McElvey. Christopher G. McKenzie. Jacob Allen McLean. Francisco Teixeira Mello. William Melville. Benjamin Isaac Menka. Melissa Meyer. Haley Catherine Midget. Melissa Malazzo. Julie Christina Mirabelli. Sophia Mersa. Aaron Bradley Meisner. Aaron Nora Mobley. Danielle Teresa Mudd. Haley Louise Moody. Benjamin Chambers Moore. Daniel Thomas Moore. Kelly Michelle Mountjoy. Daniel Patrick Mulroy. Natasha Murgy. Brent Michael Murphy. Nicole Naida. Stephanie Joanna Napoleoni. Naomi Laura Neufeld. Van An Yun. Lisana Nithyonanan. Caitlin O'Higgins. Bridget Grace O'Shaughnessy. Joshua Peter Obermeyer. Tamono Buami Okujagju. Amanda Michelle Orth. Igor Osofsky. Lara Nancy Oceanic. Laura M. Pahuli. Kyle James Pampalis. Jordana Maria Panuncio. Danielle Pantin. June Park. Benjamin William Frederick Patterson. Megan Ellen Pete. Jessica Lynn Penny. Brooke Rebecca May Percy. Rebecca Marie Pernia. Kirsten Alina Perry. Megan Caitlin Perry. Andrew Pettit. Owen Peter Phillips. Christopher Ryan Pickard. Paulina Pywick. Angelica Natalia Porida. Andrea Postich. Christopher Michael Powell. Carly Alexandra Price. Megan Rachowski. Holly Ramati. Navneet Randawa. Elena Raponi. Jessica Lee Ron. Chad Edward Regan. Rita Reese. Shannon Richards. Rebecca Ann Ritzo. Brianna Natasha Robinson. Sarah Lynn Rock. Kaylin May Rollison. Alicia Fulvia Salsiccioli. Robert Sanderson. Alexandra Savoy. Bethany Schreiber. Simone Josephine Ciacetti. Roxanne Seekins. Devin Marie Sheehan. Amy Ann Shepard. Richard Matthew Shoemaker. Ellen Kimberly Shurtleff. Jonathan Simon. Vanessa Singh. Rebecca Catherine Skaftfeld. Ryan Kevin Joseph Skinner. Margaret Ann Lee Sloan. Nicole Smith. Milana Azam Sobi. Sarah Sawinski. Natalie St. Clair. Shauna Elizabeth Steele. David Julius Steinberg. Laura Victoria Stervashki. Eleanor Jane Stevens. Andrew Stevenson. Blake Sterling. John Mark Sterling. Stephanie Ellen Strain. Vera Sullivan. Lauren Holly Sutherland. Jordan Tadrosh. Ashley C. Templeton. Emily Tarico. Daniel Mark Destani. Tara Marie Testani. Dana Marie Tebow. Andrew Cameron Thomas. Jennifer Carolyn Timmons. Chantel Tinney. Rachel Laura Rose Tironi. Matthew Edward Tobin. Candace Elizabeth Toth. Brandon Track. Natalie Van Vught. Michael David Veenstra. Julianne Venema. Rachel Catherine Verboom. Amy Elizabeth Verhaeg. Colleen Mercedes Wafer. Max Andrew Waldis. Kylie Estelle Walker. Jillian Michelle Vassar. Stephen Richard Watts. Chad Weston. Megan Blair Whiteman. Gemma Pearl Wolfe. Paige Elizabeth Woodhouse. Emily Sarah Wright. Melissa Zasulak. Rachel Zarafa. Natalie Daisy Zip. Mr. Chancellor, may I present to you the following graduates of the degree Bachelor of Music Honors. Leanne Beamer. Liam Carlisle. Matthew Laurent Carrière. Miriam Ainsley Daniels. Luke Arthur Fletcher. Laura Esther Hall Cottrell. Janice Kim. Andrea Karen Leong. Megan Lewis. Brett Douglas McDonald. Jessica Monique Mango. Sarah Jane Martin. Rachel Marie Mason. Nauchika Edwin Miyashita. Elaine Michelle Morris. Charles Raymond Morton. Miranda Nasato. Jennifer No. Elisa Ruggiero. Sydney Victoria Singh. Lindsay Leona Sobera. Dania Louise Sukman. Kyla Whalen. Benjamin Matthew Walter Williston. Catherine Elizabeth Zeigel.
Mr. Chancellor, may I present to you the following graduates of the degree Bachelor of Arts and Science Honors. Mark Beelan. Allison Bearzens. Julia Maria Bolson. Aisa Allison Budu-Ligsma. Alice Mary Church Kavanaugh. Howard Chang. Down Choi. Andrew Chong. Anna Aletta D'Angela. Cormac Thomas Donovan. Michael Gailey. Chiara Alana Genovese. Simon James Gooding Townsend. Jeremy Allen Henderson. Matthew James Howe. Irene Daryan Lum. Nolan Kenneth Matthews. Megan Teresa McEwen. Kyla Marie Meadley. Atara Messenger. Chetna Mistry. Laura Nimoy. Sarah Marie Ollier. Irina Pabst. Rebecca Catherine Conifer Pullen. Caitlin Rizitnik. Erica Ann Richter. Sophie Isabel Grace Rohr. Sarah Rostam. Catherine Ellen Sinclair. Shivanthi Iswari Sriskantha. Olivia Marie Supa. Anna Hoi Wan Tam. Teresa Mary Tingy. Jeremy Wong. Jeffrey Peter Weingarten. Austin Yan. Julia Elizabeth Zisser.
Mr. Chancellor, may I present to you the following graduates of the degree Bachelor of Arts. Amanda Danielle Alega. Farah Alexandra Alusema. Jessica Anjevsky. Adib Ashraf. Oh my gosh. Hadis Hilda Babazedo Aleg. Rebecca Ann Bartley. Lucas Berdzinski. Herman Javier Caicedo Bonilla. Larissa Surskus. Jessica Lindsay Chevrier. Amanda Ashley Chochi. Thomas Albert Cholfi. Victoria Elizabeth Clemens. Benjamin Freeman Collins. Lauren Elaine Crawford. Megan Elizabeth D'Souza. Alexandra Lena Del Bello. Dalia Abdul Ra El Sharbini. Robert Gordon Ewell. Rachel Bridget Fluker. Matthew Ross Genovese. Vicky Jiang. Taylor Gibson. Andrew Scott Ginther. Andriana M. Galapa, sorry. Chantel Francis Hartle. Matthew Ryan Horvath. Yusra Hote. Jessica Margaret Irvine. Anya Christine Kablek. Peter Kim. Hironori Komatsu. Claire LaChapelle. Audrey Lewis. Susan Rowena Lewis. Samantha Laura Lindsay. David Lyman. Alyssa Flora Magarelli. Kevin Marley. Jessica Lindsay Mathis. Melissa Ann McEachen. Amanda Maria McGinnis. Javon Mondesir. Laura Neglia. Stephen Prohudsky. Veronica Raccanelli. Chanel Anne Marie Ridgewell. Stephanie Rejane Sagan. Alyssa Catherine Smith. Samantha Starosinsik. Gary Stephen Swain. Jenna Elizabeth Honor Thompson. Nadia Sofia Luba Tachuk. Michael Trotta. Jessica Celeste Joan Valeri. Natasha Jacina Vogue. Emma Jean Ramos Volk. George Vulich. Yuan Wang. Scott Connor Wattman.
Mr. Chancellor, may I present to you the following graduate of the degree Bachelor of Arts and Science: Simon Edward Marcello.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to introduce to you Mr. Brent Murphy, a graduate of the Bachelor of Arts Honors Program, who will be delivering the valedictory address.
Graduates, families, friends, faculty members, and esteemed guests, my name is Brent Murphy, and I would like to welcome you all to the Spring 2013 Humanities and Arts and Science Convocation. Now, I would be lying to you all if I stood here today and told you that I was not nervous, that I did not have butterflies fluttering around in my stomach, and that my hands were not shaking in the slightest. I would be lying if I told you I was not the least bit scared, or the least bit worried, or the least bit anxious. However, such anxiety has nothing to do with me giving this speech. On the contrary, the butterflies in my stomach and the nervousness that I feel have everything to do with what is to come once this speech is over. Once our parents have snapped what will have surely been a few rushed, blurry, and overall unrecognizable photos. Once we remove these gowns and officially graduate from McMaster University. How is it that our time as undergrads has come and gone so quickly? How is it that after planting our roots and making McMaster our home, we are now being asked to pick up and leave? How is it that after getting so comfortable with and so attached to this institution, we are now meant to step into the outside world and forge our own paths? It's questions like these that I'm sure many of you graduates have been asking yourselves in the months leading up to today. And I'm sure that all of you have, at some point, shared my same sense of nervousness and anxiety about the future. Now, some of these anxieties might be related to less severe internal struggles, such as coming to terms with the fact that outside of McMaster University, craft dinner will no longer be considered high cuisine. That you must now find alternative forms of exercise other than your weekly sprints at 3:50 p.m. to C105 or to your department's essay drop boxes. And that as much as we would all like them to, weekends will no longer begin on Thursday nights. Other anxieties, however, might have to do with more serious struggles, such as departing from friends, moving to new cities, and lacking a sense of job security. How interesting it is then that as we gather here today, these feelings of anxiety are met by a strange sense of excitement and exhilaration as we prepare to leave McMaster. This ambiguity that surrounds graduation is quite puzzling. This mixture of nerves and of excitement, this combination of fear and of confidence. How is it that we can feel all these conflicting emotions at once? And better yet, how do we reconcile these emotions? One of my mentors once told me that when faced with a difficult task, it is very natural to get nervous, to feel anxious, and to have your stomach overrun by butterflies batting their wings relentlessly. These feelings are perfectly normal, he told me. In fact, everyone gets these feelings when met by a challenge. But, he assured me, it is only those who are able to find comfort in their nervousness, who are able to channel their anxieties and embrace their butterflies, that will truly succeed in overcoming their trials and tribulations. In this light, the strange sense of excitement I'm sure all of you are feeling right now begins to make sense, as I cannot think of a better university or a better place than the Faculty of Humanities or the Arts and Science program that could have equipped us all with the knowledge, the wisdom, and the undeniable confidence to confront our fears moving forward. As students in the Faculty of Humanities or in the Arts and Science program, we have developed a unique understanding of the world, and we possess an even more unique talent of understanding our place within this world. From reading literature, to studying history and philosophy, to learning about human biology, we in the humanities or in the arts and science program have tapped into the intricacies of the human experience. In doing so, we have become sensitive to the complexities of the outside world, this world that exists outside of McMaster. And we have therefore prepared ourselves for any challenge that we will be faced with in the future. Most importantly, though, by devoting our time at McMaster to studying the human condition, we have inevitably learned to relate to one another on a very humanistic level, to both sympathize and to empathize with all individuals, so as to create an unquestionable sense of connectivity with those around us. And so, today, I ask you to realize the deep connections that we all share as graduates entering a new stage of our lives. I ask you to realize that the nervousness you might feel, the anxieties that you grapple with, and the excitement you can hardly contain are shared by all of us. Today, we will move forward as a class with an unbreakable bond. Today, we will give thanks to the institution that has endowed us with so much knowledge and so much wisdom. Today, as a group, we will embrace our nervousness about the future. We will channel our anxieties about what is to come, and we will find comfort in our fears. Thank you.
Brad, thank you so very much for putting into words that, as you called it, ambiguity between excitement and anxiety for the future that I'm sure all of the graduates today are feeling, and probably some of the parents as well. May I now call upon our President, Dr. Patrick Dean, who will present the President's Awards of Excellence in Student Leadership, won by 3 students from the Faculty of Humanities and the Arts and Science program, which are listed on pages 18 and 19 of your program.
It is the measure of the excellence of this graduating group that there should be 3 recipients of this President's Award for Excellence in Student Leadership today at the single convocation. I'll do them one by one. First, Lisa Bifano. Lisa, please come up. Lisa Bifano proved she was a student leader shortly after arriving on McMaster's campus, gaining election to the first-year council. That role served as a springboard for an exceptional extracurricular career, highlighted early on by serving as the council's chair. Lisa has been an outstanding representative of her fellow humanities students on a number of fronts. She was elected to the Student Representative Assembly of the McMaster Students' Union in 2010. In that capacity, she worked on the courseware project, participated as a member of the Department of English's Teaching and Learning Committee, and worked with the Faculty of Humanities on the first-year support program. Lisa also served first as secretary and then as 2-year president of the McMaster Humanities Society, playing a role in the development of the Experiential Education Center for the Humanities. With the MSU, Lisa was the University Affairs Commissioner and chair of the University Affairs Committee, a role that saw her involved with and even spearheading a variety of projects, including the Student Leaders Guide, mental health advocacy, government relations, financial aid seminars, and nutrition and diet education. She also participated in the Academic Affairs Council. Lisa has been a key member of the student leadership team beyond her faculty as well, serving on the Associate Vice President, Students and Learning, and the Dean of Students Search Committee, on the Social Sciences Experiential Education Governing Council, and as a delegate to the Ontario Undergraduate Student Alliance Policy Conference. She was also a key figure in delivering the Horizons and Clay Leadership Conferences. She is one of the 2013 recipients of the McMaster Alumni Association's Albert Lager Prize for Student Initiative. Congratulations, Lisa. What a fabulous career. Anna D'Angelo. A multiple scholarship winner, Anna D'Angelo has displayed a consistent mission in her extracurricular activities at McMaster, and that is supporting the development and success of her fellow students. She has counseled students as both an academic experience advisor and a residence orientation advisor, working with McMaster's Residence Life Office. Anna has also been heavily involved in organizing Keystone student leadership conferences, including the Clay Conference and the Horizons Conference, the latter of which she coordinated. She even helped reach out to first-year students before they arrived at the university as a frequent speaker at the McMaster Alumni Association's Mission to Mac program at various locations around the region. As a member of the McMaster Students' Union Advocacy Street Team, Anna has worked on campaigns related to issues such as student voting, stress management, and tuition grant awareness. She has played a key role in shaping student representation at the highest level, serving as a campaign volunteer for 2 different MSU presidential campaigns and as the campaign manager for 2 consecutive successful campaigns for the same office. Anna has worked as a residence orientation representative for Moulton Hall and as the events coordinator for the McMaster Students' Union's Maroons and for the MSU's Shinerama and Terry Fox campaigns. As a peer conduct advisor for the Student Success Leadership Program of the Office of Student Conduct and Community Standards, she also chaired the Peer Conduct Board. She is currently the MSU's Vice President Administration and a member of the MSU's Board of Directors and the Executive Board. Finally, Anna sang with the McMaster University Gospel Choir. Congratulations, Anna. Fantastic. And great to come.
Thank you. I'm excited for sure.
There you go. Jeffrey Weingarten. Jeff Weingarten joined the McMaster University Choir soon after arriving on campus and later assumed leadership roles as treasurer and as president. He is also a founder of the a cappella group Stairwell Acoustics. Jeff served as a house advisor in Edwards Hall and community advisor in Matthews Hall and participated in university governance through membership on the Senate Committee on Student Affairs, the Peer Conduct Board, and the University Search Committees for the positions of Director of the Arts and Science Program and Chair of the Department of Philosophy. His service to his peers includes volunteering with the Student Health Education Center, the Student Walk Home Attendant Team, and the Speakeasy Program. An Arts and Science representative on the first-year council, Jeff became an executive member of the Society of Arts and Science Students and the organization's official observer to the Student Representative Assembly. That position led to his being named Speaker of the SRA and subsequently the MSU's Vice President Finance, a position that is part of the MSU Board of Directors, Executive Board, and the McMaster University Student Center Board of Management. He is also chair of the Silhouette Board of Publication. In addition to numerous academic scholarships, Jeff has received a number of awards recognizing his extracurricular contributions to McMaster. These include the Herb Jenkins Award, the Residence Life Award for Outstanding Contribution, the Benjamin Eby Award and Scholarship, and the McMaster Residence Life Award of Excellence. Congratulations, Jeff. As always, fantastic achievement. And no doubt a stellar career in the law. Thank you very much.
I would now like to introduce to you Ms. Stephanie McClarty, a representative of the McMaster Alumni Association, who will deliver the Alumni Association address.
Thank you, Dr. Wilkinson. Chancellor Wilson, President Dean, the McMaster faculty, distinguished guests, and to the 2013 graduating class. There is an unwritten contract that says that anyone who speaks at Convocation must offer advice to the graduating class. So when I was preparing for my comments today, I thought back to when I graduated 10 years ago from the Arts and Science program. That's right. But I actually realized that I did not attend my convocation because I was overseas. So that's just the thing. Unfortunately, I spent most of my school years either largely absent or largely ignoring the advice of anyone with experience, while taking the advice of the guy that recommended parachute pants, or the girl that loved the Backstreet Boys, or that friend of mine who told me, just fill your mouth with Mentos and chug a Diet Coke. Yeah, that was interesting. Since apparently, when I was you, I wouldn't take advice from someone like me. So today, I brought in reinforcements. Not long ago, your McMaster Alumni Association asked alumni from around the world to offer advice to you. We called it the Good Advice Project, and today, here are some of my favorites. Keep your eyes open, but know when to keep your mouth shut. Make sure you travel, but cross at the lights. Honesty promotes happiness, and my personal advice to you, keep an open mind and an open heart. After all, 10 years later, I never expected to be CEO of a technology company with global customers. This is all actual advice from McMaster alumni to you. The Alumni Association will continue to advise from you to incoming students at McMaster. We think that this kind of support from one generation to the next is critical because every McMaster class, regardless of era, shares two things in common. The first is the great potential that you have as new graduates of one of the world's greatest universities. That's right. Be proud. The second is that we all share a familial connection with McMaster and to each other, and a responsibility to build upon the legacy that we have inherited. The McMaster Alumni Association is here to help you maintain that connection. You have in your hands the Convocation booklet, which describes our programs. You can be a part of Mac 10, a program for grads within the last decade, which apparently I'm not applicable for anymore. Watch for the alumni magazine, the McMaster Times, in your mailbox or online, or be a part of the association's online community. Follow the association on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, or Flickr. Access value-add services like home, auto, and life insurance. Join your fellow alumni at one of the hundreds of events that are organized right here in Hamilton, across Canada, and right around the world. There's a place for all of you within the McMaster Alumni Association, and ways to remain connected, from joining in socially on our social media to our most highly engaged volunteer, like our Chancellor, a proud member of the Class of '62, and who the MAA just bestowed its highest honor, the Distinguished Service Award. And, sorry. And to you, the Class of 2013. We celebrate your success as students, and we toast the promises of your future as alumni. Your fellow MacRads are proud to welcome you to the McMaster alumni family. Congratulations again. Thank you.
May I invite Dr. Dean back to the podium to deliver his President's Address.
Thank you very much. It's a great privilege to be with you celebrating this afternoon. This ceremony has been wonderful, as Convocation always is. It has been a celebration of all of you and of your individual achievements, also of the McMaster family, in which, as of today, you have succeeded to a different kind of membership. And also a celebration of our society, which accords to universities a privileged status and generous support, in return for which we provide not only brilliant and energetic leaders for tomorrow, but also the new ideas and discoveries that will shape our future. Convocation is a communal event because it celebrates our community, its values, and its aspirations. And this is a time to contemplate where you fit in, as Brent suggested. Not only within the McMaster community, although, as Stephanie made clear, there are some good ideas about how you might fit into that community in the future, but more broadly, how you might fit into our society and into our world. 3 years ago, at my first McMaster Convocation, I tried to describe where I saw myself fitting in, and I spoke about the idea of education as integrity, about my belief that education is diminished in its value and effect when it falls out of touch with the full range of human concerns and realities. In keeping with that belief, the question I would ask you to consider today is this: where will your university education eventually find its value? And where would you hope to see its greatest effect? How will your life as the proud holder of a McMaster degree intersect with and address the large questions facing our species and our planet? Ronald Dworkin, the eminent legal philosopher from whom I quoted on this platform 3 years ago, identifies the issue in this way, and you will have heard similar words from Dr. Sharda. This is Dworkin. Living must be more than finding oneself pulled by unexamined habit through worn grooves of expectation and reward. No respectable or even intelligible theory of value, he writes, supposes that making and spending money has any value or importance in itself, and almost everything people buy with that money lacks any importance as well. These are Dworkin's words. And Dworkin prompts us always to be mindful of the value of what we do, and to understand value in qualitative rather than quantitative terms. Value is something that resides in relationship, in between people and things, between people and ideas, and it is to be measured, if it is to be measured at all, in effect. There's a rather bleak passage in Dworkin, beautiful nevertheless, in which he expresses this idea and its urgency. He says, "The only value we can find in living in the foothills of death as we do is adverbial value. How we live is a question of value. That we live and die is merely a matter of fact." Ronald Dworkin died at the age of 81 in February of this year. And in his last major work, published in 2011, he sought to provide an overview of his thinking, one which brought together his work in political philosophy, moral philosophy, the theory of interpretation, and so on. He chose a wonderful but somewhat enigmatic title for that book. It is called Justice for Hedgehogs. The title is actually derived from a surviving fragment by the ancient Greek poet Archilochus, popularized in the early 20th century by Isaiah Berlin. And the line goes as follows: "The fox knows many things, but the hedgehog knows one big thing." And Dworkin uses this line to contrast two ways of viewing the world. The first, which regards phenomena and experiences as serial, separate, and individual, and the second, which sees them as not merely connected, but integrated, not a series, but a singularity. For Dworkin, value is one big thing. Now, I won't try to unpack this assertion in all its complexity, except to refer you back to my observation that value is something that resides in relationships, that has no existence outside of relationships. At one level, this simply means that the realm of ethics and morals is community, the network of relationships through which we have an opportunity to do more than merely live. It also means that moral and ethical values are of necessity interconnected and interdependent. A life does not realize its value through compartmentalization. To be ruthless and uncompromising in the office, yet loving and solicitous in the family, raises the question, what kind of a life is this? What might we say about its value? If value resides in the adverbs which describe our actions and the adjectives which describe us, how does the equation which links the word ruthless to the word loving work out? Does it resolve as zero? Only the hedgehog knows. The point about the hedgehog's view that is worth remembering is this: the value of a life is the sum of its qualitative interactions with the world, immediate and remote, direct and indirect, private and public, professional and recreational. Integrity, as we commonly understand the word, resides in the consistency with which we apply ourselves in all of these realms. We have integrity when we act not according to values that change with circumstance, but as if our value as persons is one big thing. Now, notwithstanding Dworkin's very critical comments about the value of money and of what can be bought with it, the world of finance does provide an analogy that is useful for thinking about the project of being a worthwhile human being. In the same way that your accountant won't allow you in the final analysis to separate your assets from your liabilities, won't let you ignore the latter and concentrate on the former just because to do so makes you feel wealthier, the hedgehog insists that in accounting for the value of your being on earth, everything is counted in. Now, in anticipation for today's convocation, it was evident as I watched you crossing the stage that many of you invested in some new clothes. A new shirt, tie, dress, shoes perhaps. I'm not a shopping theorist or an expert. Merely like most people, I am an occasionally enthusiastic amateur. But I know that into your deliberations in the clothes shop, at the rack, will sooner or later have come thoughts about the value of the garment you were thinking of buying. A primary consideration for most people would be the asking price, which, as you move from considerations of affordability and then to the use to which you would put it, turns into an assessment of the garment's value. And typically, the context within which we find and attribute value to a shirt or a dress is rather narrow. It may earn you cachet in a fashionable circle to which you aspire. It may say something about you that you would like to have said. Or that garment may simply delight your eye. St. Thomas puts this very well, the famous line, is pulchrum est id quod visum placet. Beauty is that which, being seen, pleases. Value is neither essential nor tautological, however. Things have different value for different people in different circumstances. And in the kind of commercial moment I've just been describing, that hapless garment becomes simply a nexus for various intersecting value propositions. Yours, the stores, the manufacturers, the advertisers. It is in the interest of all of those people, especially the retailer, to keep the context within which you assess the value of their commodity simple and narrow, to compartmentalize the buyer with the product, so that only value of the most personal kind can be attributed or discovered. Going back to Archilochus's contrast between the hedgehog and the fox, I would say that commerce functions by making foxes of us all. It encourages us to encounter the world serially and without reference to the one big thing. After the April 24th collapse of the Rana Plaza garment factory in Bangladesh, killing more than 1,100 workers, can shopping for clothes ever again be the kind of fox-like, somewhat self-involved activity I've been describing? No doubt for some people it can and will. There will be those, I suppose, whose capacity for compartmentalization is so advanced that exploitation and human suffering expended in the production of a garment does not factor in their assessment of its value to them. I thought of this recently in the men's section of a rather large department store, where for the first time I noticed, because recent events had prompted me to look, that by far the majority of shirts available were made in Bangladesh, where, as we all recently learned, a worker's life is sometimes cheap to her employer, and where the minimum monthly salary for a garment worker is 3,000 takas, or $38, approximately half of what my Canadian retailer is asking me to pay for one of the thousands of shirts shipped from that factory. My purpose today is not to debate the merits or demerits of commerce, or to venture into the realm of business ethics, where you would agree with me it is somewhat dangerous for a professor of literature to tread. But instead, I've seized upon the Bangladesh garment workers' tragedy and our daily involvement with it through the clothes we buy and wear as an illustration of why it is impossible to live a good life without taking the hedgehog's view, without understanding that value, as we ascribe it to our lives, to others, and to objects, is one big thing. Or rather, we must at all times behave as if it is one big thing. The inhumane treatment of workers in Bangladesh must be reckoned by me as I assess the value of a garment that I'm being invited to purchase. If I do not do that, my own value as a human being is diminished. And now I will quote from a text familiar to many of you. Only connect. That is the line spoken by a character in E.M. Forster's novel, Howard's End. Margaret Schlegel says in that novel, live in fragments no longer. That is the solution to human suffering. In Dworkin's analogy, it is the hedgehog who sees the world in its interconnectedness and who understands his own value in being of the whole and acting for the good of the whole. This convocation ceremony provides an opportunity to ask you to take your McMaster degrees and to go out into the world in the same spirit. If not confident in your ability to transform the world, at least determined to live in it with integrity and with dignity. Farewell, hedgehogs.
Thank you very much, President Dean, for those profound and inspirational words. I am determined now to go home and Google the hedgehog. It's something I have not learned very much about, but I am determined now to try and find something that I can link with there. It's been a very long afternoon, and I realize that some of you would be thinking about refreshments and family get-togethers, and I certainly wouldn't want to stand between you and that. But I thought that all of the talks this afternoon had very wise words. Dr. Schade, Brent, Stephanie, and of course our president. And I really can't even try to add any words of wisdom to those. I hope you take them into your thoughts and hearts, because there are life's lessons to be thought about in those words. I'm advised that immediately following this convocation, a reception will be held for humanities graduates and their guests on the mezzanine level and the First Ontario Tapas Lounge of Hamilton Place Theatre. It says at 4:30 p.m. We're already half an hour late for that, but I hope you'll consider that. The reception for the Arts and Science Program graduates and their guests will be at the University, McMaster University, Convocation Hall, room 213 in University Hall at 7 o'clock this evening. Flowers that have been delivered for graduates will be available at the coat check here in the main lobby. I'd ask you to please remain standing in your seats until the academic procession and the graduates have left the hall. I now invite Dr. Michael Schade to lead us in the singing of our national anthem. Please rise and join now in the singing of O Canada. After the singing of the anthem, this convocation stands adjourned.
Thank you.